Today, President Biden signing an executive order aiming to promote economic competition in America. What's in it, and will it actually help? Car prices are driving up the consumer price index. Why are new and used cars so expensive now? Why is demand still so high? Good evening and great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney. President Biden says he wants to increase competition in the U.S. economy. He signed an executive order today which the White House says will save consumers money. But some experts say it's just more red tape. NTD's Colin Fredrickson has the details.
President Biden signed a sweeping order Friday seeking to promote more competition in the U.S. economy.
If your companies want to win your business, they have to go out and they have to up their game. Better prices and services, new ideas and products.
The order goes after corporate monopolies across a wide range of industries. That includes technology, agriculture, and healthcare.
Take prescription drugs. Just a handful of companies control the market for many vital medicines, giving them leverage over everyone else to charge whatever they want. As a result, Americans pay 2.5 times more for prescription drugs than in any other leading country.
Biden says between rising prices and lowering wages, lack of competition costs the median American household $5,000 a year. He is directing more than a dozen federal agencies to act on 72 initiatives. That includes increasing scrutiny of big tech firms' so-called killer acquisitions, where big tech companies buy up potential competitors to dominate the market. On prescription drugs,
the Food and Drug Administration, we're going to work with states and tribes to safely import prescription drugs from Canada,
which Biden says will help lower prescription drug prices. Reacting to the Biden order, a former Treasury official says she was pleased to see the move on big tech, ocean shipping, and railroads, but also warned about more government intervention. The conservative think tank Competitive Enterprise Institute says the order is 95% terrible government red tape with just a couple positive deregulatory reforms. Colin Fredrickson, NTD News.
Another tech policy think tank argues that industries are not growing more concentrated and the administration should do more to make sure existing laws are enforced instead of trying to implement new rules. And in other news, Wells Fargo is shutting down one of its popular credit products. The bank told customers who use personal lines of credit that no more money is available to them. Line of credit customers could borrow up to $100,000 for things like home repairs or to consolidate credit card debt. Wells Fargo says now that it's gone, consumers can use its other products like credit cards or personal loans instead. But it did warn customers could impact their credit scores. Senator Elizabeth Warren slammed the decision on Twitter and called the bank incompetent. And car prices have risen dramatically this year. Used cars are even affecting the key inflation metric. Even with the rising prices, though, demand is still high. NTD's Evelyn Lee asked an expert why that is.
The consumer price index is up 5% compared to last year as of May, and about 1/3 of it is because of used car prices, according to CNN. But it's not just used cars that are getting more expensive.
We've seen new car prices and used car prices have risen dramatically this year.
Jonathan Smoke, the chief economist for Cox Automotive, says that new and used car prices don't usually move the consumer price index number much because they remain quite steady. But this past year, the average used car price went up almost 30%. That's according to Edmunds.
Driven the supply chain issues, and it's also, which is majorly driven by the semiconductor shortages. That has prevented the production of new vehicles.
But many are looking to buy a new car anyway, which leads to a simple supply and demand issue.
The government has handed out incentive money to stimulate the economy and stimulus money.
Fitzgerald also says many have moved away from public transportation during the pandemic. And on top of that, millions are now returning to the office, feeding the demand for cars. So prices might remain high, at least for the summer. But once missing components are available, he says things will move fast.
Some vehicles actually have been produced. They're just waiting for the final components to be installed so they can be shipped to dealers. So once the supply chain comes up to speed, some of the vehicles can hit the market rather rapidly.
The chief economist for Cox Automotive also thinks it's a temporary spike in price. So it might be the right call to wait with a car purchase. Instead, selling a car might be a better economic decision.
now is the best time probably in history to sell a used car.
He says that's especially if you're looking to downsize and have an extra vehicle at home that you're not using. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
And major U.S. indexes rallied to more record highs today after a sell-off earlier in the week. The Dow rose nearly 450 points today, 1 3/10%. S&P 500 gained nearly 50 points, over 1%, and the Nasdaq added 142 points today. Another Democrat appointee, Gary Gensler, is in charge of the SEC. He's removing the entire board of the formerly Republican-led PCAOB, very rare occurrence. The Public Company Accounting Oversight Board oversees the audits of over 7,000 companies to make sure their financial statements are accurate. NTD's Con Fredrickson has the story.
The Democrat-led SEC has removed the Republican chairman of the PCAOB, William Dunkey, and is planning on replacing the entire board. This comes after allegations of bad chemistry, whistleblower complaints, and an allegation that Mr. Dunkey threw a soda can at another board member. Newly appointed SEC Chair Gary Gensler says he removed Mr. Dunkey because the PCAOB isn't adequately auditing the auditors, and that now the PCAOB has an opportunity to live up to Congress's vision.
Gensler has, he's really come on with a mission to be a much more activist SEC chair than we've seen in the past 2 or 3 chairmen. We see the entire board being removed in one fell swoop, which is a rare occurrence indeed.
Investors say the PCAOB has drifted away from its core mission of investor protection, and that they've failed to act on recommendations from investors with respect to significant auditing standards. The PCAOB keeps an eye on financial auditors, such as the Big Four accounting firms. They oversee the audits of over 7,000 public companies, valued at over $54 trillion.
Auditing is when an outside independent third party comes into a company and looks under the hood. They look at the bank statements, they look at the general ledger, they look at all the accounting documents to track the money movement, to verify that what the financial statements are saying is actually what happened.
Investors depend on auditors to ensure the firms they invest in are honest. With Mr. Dunkey gone, the current acting chair is Dwayne Despartie. Despartie joined the PCAOB after serving in numerous financial roles at energy giant Exelon. He was an audit partner at Deloitte and graduated from the University of Illinois with a BS in accountancy. Colin Fredrickson, NTD News.
And the Justice Department says a Swedish cryptocurrency fraudster has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. He defrauded investors out of $16 million. Authorities arrested the 47-year-old in Thailand in 2019, where he ran the Eastern Metal Securities fraud from 2011 until his arrest. He pleaded guilty in March of this year to targeting financially insecure investors and leading them to purchase shares using cryptocurrency via online platforms. He then transferred the funds directly to his personal bank accounts and then used the money to buy houses, a racehorse, and a resort in Thailand. He tried to keep the scheme going by rebranding it and also claiming to work for the SEC. Multiple agencies in the U.S., Hong Kong, and Thailand helped bring it to an end. And Oregon has adopted emergency workplace rules to safeguard workers from extreme heat there. Yesterday's move comes after over 100 people died from heat in Oregon last month, including a man who was working outside at a plant nursery. NTD's Patrick Hayden has a look at what advocates call the nation's most protective heat rules.
Oregon adopted emergency rules Thursday to protect workers from being exposed to extreme heat. It includes expanding access to shade and cool water. Advocates say it's the nation's most protective heat rules for workers. The emergency action was taken after more than 100 people died during the extreme heat wave in June. A lawyer at the Northwest Workers' Justice Project said Oregon has a chance to lead the country in ensuring workplaces are safe from high heat, especially for jobs like farming and construction. The rules also mandate regular cool-down breaks and communication between employees and supervisors so workers can report concerns. During the heatwave, Seattle, Portland, and many other cities broke all-time heat records, temperatures in some places reaching above 115 degrees. The rules are effective immediately and last for 180 days. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And New York City tourism was all but obliterated last year but those days are coming to an end. The city's mayor, Bill de Blasio, announcing a $30 million marketing campaign to lure tourists back. Over 9.5 million vaccines have been administered, which the mayor says is a milestone in his vaccination effort. The campaign launched 2 weeks ago and will mainly consist of television ads. The city's efforts to attract tourists has been increasingly successful through 2019, with an all-time high of 66 million visitors. Taiwan's Foxconn is in talks with Wisconsin about building electric vehicles there. Foxconn is a major Apple hardware supplier, now is trying to break into the car-making industry. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the details.
Taiwan's Foxconn is in talks with Wisconsin about building electric vehicles in the state. The tech company is looking to diversify its income streams. Foxconn and electric car manufacturer Fisker said in May that it had finalized a vehicle assembly deal. The location was not identified, but Fisker's CEO said Wisconsin was a possibility. Foxconn said in a statement that it's optimistic about its partnership with Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation and looks forward to ongoing discussions. In April, Foxconn drastically scaled back its planned $10 billion factory in Wisconsin. It was supposed to build cutting-edge flat-panel display screens. A month earlier, Foxconn's chairman said it may make EVs at the Wisconsin site, though could decide on Mexico. Foxconn aims to provide components or services to 10% of the world's EVs by 2025 to 2027. That poses a threat to established automakers by giving technology companies a shortcut to competing in the vehicle market. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And the Biden administration added 14 Chinese companies and other entities to its economic blacklist Friday. It's to counter the company's alleged human rights abuses and high-tech surveillance in China's western Xinjiang region. NTD's Penny Zhou with more.
14 Chinese companies were added to U.S. economic blacklist on Friday. The U.S. Commerce Department said it's because they had been implicated in human rights violations as part of Beijing's campaign in the far west Xinjiang region. That involves repression, mass detention, and high-tech surveillance against the Uyghur Muslim minority group in the region. Beijing denies the alleged abuses. The targeted firms include several information technology groups and security companies in China. They are among 34 entities being added to the list from various countries around the world. But Beijing hit back on Friday, saying it will take all necessary measures to protect its firms. The action follows Washington's decision last month to add several Chinese entities to the blacklist over allegations of forced labor in Xinjiang. Entities added to the economic blacklist will be required to apply for licenses and face tough trade scrutiny. China dismisses accusations of genocide and forced labor in Xinjiang.
And an index of Chinese companies traded on American markets has fallen to its lowest valuation in over a year, likely a result of Beijing's regulatory crackdown on Chinese tech companies. The index tracks 56 Chinese companies trading here in the U.S. Alibaba is the group's most valuable member, but the index is down 36% from its record high in February. The Chinese regime's latest move against its tech sector is a probe into ride-hailing company Didi. The regime says it's adding restrictions for companies listed abroad or selling shares overseas. One senior portfolio manager telling the Wall Street Journal the Chinese regime's new rules could restrict future listings, but he's not sure how it would affect Chinese companies already listed here in the United States. Still to come this evening. Free samples returning to U.S. stores, but after a year of hiatus, what do grocery stores have to say and why is it good for retailers? And billionaire Richard Branson flying to space this weekend, promoting his space tourism venture. He's set to beat fellow billionaire Jeff Bezos to the final frontier. That and more after this short break.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Get ready, world, for a whole new way to invest. Introducing the Unicorn Hunters.
We are talking about a cultural and economic shift.
A savvy group of investors whose only job is to provide an unvarnished assessment of who they think can become the next unicorn.
I am in and I'm going to invest.
We all know why we're here. We're here to meet the next unicorn opportunity.
This could be a game changer for a lot of families.
Together with you, they're on the hunt for the next unicorn.
Welcome back. Beyond Meat is taking on chicken tenders. The company has released a plant-based chicken-like product called Beyond Chicken Tenders. The tenders have 14 grams of protein per serving and will be available at restaurants across the country starting this month. Beyond Meat recently replaced its signature plant-based burger with a version designed to taste more like beef from a cow. It was released in June. And free samples are back in U.S. stores. The pandemic put them on hold for over a year. Now retailers are reviving the tradition. NTD's Andrew Thomas reports.
When the pandemic hit last year, retailers worried about the potential spread. So they halted free samples of everything from food to makeup to toys. But now stores are feeling confident enough to bring back the practice.
It's been now a little bit over a year, so we actually gotten back together and regrouped. And now we have samples available for all of our customers.
For customers, sampling makes it fun to shop and discover new products. All the freebies are an added bonus too.
I'm not really worried too much. I am a little bit careful about it, but I do feel like there's a lot of safety precautions put in place, so I feel like comfortable about it now.
For retailers, samples are critical tools to keep shoppers coming back and to compete with online retailers like Amazon.
If you are not sampling a product, a customer don't know how it tastes, how great of a product is. So to us, it's everything.
But there's still a focus on safety, even as the pandemic fades.
As you can see, some of the things we've done, we put plexiglass on the demos table, because you know some people are still on the defense side. So it's very, very important that as happy and excited as we get, that we have to take a precaution.
Dorothy Day, a longtime Stu Leonard shopper, is ecstatic that sampling has made a comeback.
I am so happy. They're doing it safely. The server is masked and there's a barrier to her, so she's safe. I think it's wonderful.
Market research firm NPD Group says food sampling converts browsers into buyers at a 20% higher rate than if customers weren't allowed to try the product. And customers are getting more comfortable.
I use common sense and view the stand. If the stand looks like it's set up properly, then I feel safe.
Public health experts point out that handling and eating food has not been a major route for the spread of the pandemic. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And the road to the future may not be a road at all, but more of an elevated track. That is, if company U-Sky Transport gets its way, their idea for solving traffic jams is to just take traffic off the road altogether. USky's model is a network of futuristic, driverless, high-speed pods that can ride around cities suspended from a steel track. Last month, the company opened a test line in the United Arab Emirates. The test pods can carry up to 4 people and was designed to feel like a first-class airline suite. The pods can currently go up to 93 miles an hour, but for safety reasons, they don't travel that fast along the test track. USky says a fully implemented citywide network could support 10,000 passengers per hour. The first system could start carrying passengers in 2024. Richard Branson set to fly to space this Sunday. Not sure of your plans, but he'll be the first of 3 billionaire CEOs to leave Earth's atmosphere in the race for space tourism. Chris Dingham reports.
When we land, I'll celebrate with family, friends, grandchildren, children, and a great grin on my face.
Mega-rich daredevil mogul Richard Branson is set to become the first of the 3 billionaire CEOs in the space tourism race to leave Earth's atmosphere on Sunday, when his Virgin Galactic passenger rocket is scheduled to launch him and 5 others to the final frontier.
I've been looking forward to it for 17 years.
Branson will join 2 pilots and 3 mission specialists aboard the VSS Unity for his company's first fully crewed test flight, which is expected to land 90 minutes after takeoff. The Virgin Galactic carrier jet VMS Eve, named for Branson's mother, will lift the British billionaire founder and crew to an altitude of 50,000 feet before Unity is released and climbs even higher to roughly 55 miles above the New Mexico desert, where the crew will experience about 4 minutes of weightlessness before beginning a gliding descent back to Earth. The space plane will then land on a runway, as opposed to a space capsule that returns to Earth's surface by parachute. If successful, Sunday's test will give Branson bragging rights for edging out Jeff Bezos, who is scheduled to visit the edge of space aboard his Blue Origin rocket ship on July 20th with his brother in tow.
Yeah, it's honestly not a race. It's a race to, if it's a race, it's a race to produce wonderful spaceships that can make many more people be able to access space, and I think that's both of our aim.
Fellow billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk is also vying to usher in a new era of astrotourism with his SpaceX, but he does not yet have a flight for himself on the books.
Good luck, Richard Branson. As the latest business updates for this week, you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. Last one of the week starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for this week. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Monday.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.